2025 might honestly be the year gamers finally said enough's enough. We've been watching some of the biggest studios fall apart for years now, not in some dramatic overnight collapse, but slowly, piece by piece. The greedy monetization, soulless live service games, and just a complete lack of care, these once beloved developers have turned into something most people can't even stand anymore. And it's not just a few outliers, it's most of the big boys. They've chosen profit over passion, over creativity, and definitely over their players. Take Dragon Age, a franchise with a massive fan base that waited over a decade for something new. And what did they get? Veilguard, which is one of the worst games ever slapped together. Fans were begging for a story-driven single-player RPG, but nope, EA shoved it into the live service graveyard like they always do. It's clear that the people running these companies have no idea who their audience even is anymore. Big studios messing up major franchises has become expected. It's just what they do now. Games just can't be video games anymore. They have to be bigger, more expansive, and appeal to the widest audience possible. For example, Borderlands went from being a beloved looter shooter to a cash cow. Spin-offs, disappointing entries, and a movie nobody asked for. It feels like they're just milking it dry and people are getting tired of it. Then there's the push for larger and larger games. More and more gamers are starting to push back against these so-called quadruple A games, which really just means that they're an even more bloated, empty experience with a bigger marketing budget. Basically, giant open worlds filled with nothing. But this year, the conversations around AAA gaming, game preservation, and digital ownership have changed. They've stopped being niche topics on Steam forums and started becoming mainstream demands. Movements like Stop Killing Games have reignited a level of unity among gamers that I honestly didn't think was possible anymore. We've simply become fed up with the amount of control studios have over the products we consume, and not just with words, but with legal challenges, petitions, and a whole lot of well-justified outrage. Stop Killing Games as a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they've sold. For the first time in a long time, it feels like we're not just yelling into the void. And it mostly all started over a year ago by the Accursed Farms YouTube channel as a frustrated online protest against the closure of games like The Crew, an online-only racing video game co-developed by Ubisoft Ivory Tower and Ubisoft Reflections back in 2014. This wasn't just some minor indie title or obscure app. The Crew was a full-price racing game that eventually got a sequel 4 years later in 2018. However, the official servers of the original game were shut down back in 2024, rendering it unplayable as no server software had been publicly released. Additionally, Ubisoft revoked the game license from those who owned the game on Ubisoft Connect and deleted it from their libraries. This led to a significant controversy around the game's shutdown, including a class action lawsuit against the AAA publisher. Ubisoft wanted to completely destroy this game's existence, not just from storefronts, but from reality, because Ubisoft removed the title from players' libraries. And here's the thing, this isn't just about losing access to a single game. It's about the broader realization that we don't own any of our video games anymore. You could drop hundreds of dollars on digital games, DLCs, cosmetic packs, and in-game currency, and at the end of the day, the publisher can pull the plug without warning and without a refund. The fine print in those EULAs we all skip gave these companies the legal writing needed to kill their game, brick your account, or just tell you to go kick rocks. At some point, it stopped being bad business and started being malicious. Gaming isn't cheap anymore. Console prices are creeping towards $600. A deluxe edition of a game now goes for $100 or more. We're living through a quiet war on ownership, and most people still don't even realize it. So when I see Nicolas Stefanuta, the vice president of the European Parliament, come out in support of the Stop Killing Games movement and say a game once sold belongs to the customer, not the company, it struck a chord with me. It's about time someone with real power said something. And this isn't unique to just Ubisoft. 2K, EA, Sony, and even Nintendo have all done the same thing in various forms. Shut down servers, yank games, leave players with nothing but useless install files and frustration. Nintendo even added fuel to the fire earlier this year with their new EULA for the Switch 2, which essentially gives them the power to remotely brick the console. Like if Nintendo believes you violated their terms of service for any reason, they could shut down the hardware permanently. However, Brazil's Consumer Protection Agency stepped in, launching a legal challenge against Nintendo. Sao Paulo's Public Consumer Protection and Defense Program is now pushing Nintendo to remove the clause entirely. This all comes after the Switch 2 had a record-breaking launch, over 3.5 million units sold in its first month, the biggest console debut ever. And now they're finally facing some real heat in Brazil because of the shady end-user agreement, which brings up a much bigger issue about console ownership, or more accurately, the illusion of it. Because let's be real, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are the real owners here. The kind of language we're seeing in the Switch 2 EULA is not exclusive to Nintendo. Similar terms exist in the fine print for the PS5 and Xbox as well. You may have paid for the hardware, but these companies still hold the keys, and they could shut it down whenever they feel like it. It's It's already happened. Just look at the Xbox 360. Its storefront and support services were shut down last year. That's a whole console ecosystem just wiped off the map. I know the console's way past its expiration date, but there are still people out there using their old school hardware. And you could bet the big studios and AAA publishers are watching this Brazil case like hawks because it could set a legal precedent that finally draws a line on what companies can't do with the tech we buy. But here's the good news. Gamers are finally waking up. If Nintendo gets away with this and no one pushes back, you better believe Sony and Microsoft will follow suit. The same company that brought us Animal Crossing is now behaving like the Umbrella Corporation. The shift from physical games to digital storefronts was sold to us as a convenience. And sure, it is convenient, but it also handed over full control of our consoles to the whims of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. They decide what stays, who gets banned, and what video games get pulled. But here's the part that gives me hope. We're not taking it lying down anymore. Gamers have reached a breaking point, and for once, we're not just complaining online. We're fighting back, we're organizing, we're demanding accountability, and slowly but surely, the walls are starting to crack. Countries like Brazil are stepping up, and politicians in the EU are listening. Movements like Stop Killing Games are gaining momentum while casual gamers start paying more attention, speaking up, and refusing to be treated like wallets. This isn't just noise, it's a step towards digital ownership, towards actually valuing the people who keep this industry alive. Well, that's all I have for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and commenting to let me know your thoughts. I appreciate you guys for making it to the end, and as always, have a good one.